So anyway, it's the first of the month. And so we're going to continue on with what we started last month. And that is kind of like a group session the first week of the month. And if you guys have anything that you want to bring up or talk about, or things that you want me to find out more information about so that we can talk about it further in other meetings, this is the time. And if you don't have anything, I do have some topics to, to a jumping off point. But if there's anything any of you wanted to talk about, please speak up. If, there's any pain points or an idea you had or somewhere that you're struggling or anything, we can all help each other. So anybody got anything? No. Everyone's businesses are just flourishing and doing so well. I'm so glad.
Well, I think like the hardest part now is like you're not out there really networking. So how to get 100%. In front of new people.
100%.
Specifically in my industry, it's very difficult because they don't have a product, and my, business is so determined by what the markets do, so, yeah, that can be difficult.
That's a really good point, Jen.
Are like raging, like,
No, it's true. I mean, even though so many of us have businesses that can be managed online, and you can manage your business online, that's not a problem. But getting in front of new faces is 100% an issue right now, like the face-to-face type of, interaction, obviously. And it does stink. Like even our group, it's really hard. It's fantastic that everyone shows up week after week and we're online, but it's different than when we're sitting in person and we're able to talk to each other and network with each other. And, because even when you come to these meetings online, for the most part, it's me talking at you guys, it's not a lot of interaction. So it does make it really difficult. Whereas our old meetings in person, then everybody had time afterwards to like, and get together and talk. So it does make it, tough, and it may be something that I need to work on and like try to figure out a better way. The website design obviously had been put on hold a little while I was moving, but get back on it. And I'm hoping that that's going to be a good platform for us to talk to each other, in a easier way in a like one particular place. However, speaking to what you're talking about is getting in front of new people, it is really hard. And social media, especially for your type of industry, is not really the answer. I mean, it's there and you should definitely be present and you should be on it, and you never know what's going to come from it, right? But depending on the effort that you make. But what are some ways, you guys, that we can get in front of new clients or get in front of new people? Does anybody have any ideas? I mean, I have a couple, but I was giving everyone a chance.
I have one. I've started to look up more for the company that I work for rather than for my blog, but like meetups and stuff like that, where there are other meetings where it's still networking virtually, but it's a new audience to choose from.
Absolutely.
There are certain, there are certain online, no, that's okay. The website, I think the website's called Meetup.
There's a meetup, yeah.
Right? Like audiences just to like, and then you go once, you see if it's anything. And then if it's not, then you can just, you're not dedicated to it.
Well, at least you didn't have to like drive somewhere, right? Like, and then try to sneak out. You can just kind of X out of the meeting if you don't like it.
Exactly. Like, whoop, yep.
Gotta go. I hear my kids calling.
Like, oh, internet connection went down.
That is a good idea. And Jen, I mean, we're just going to talk in generalities. You may have tried these things, but definitely Meetup is what we used it for before, was to find places to meet up and, in-person things to meet up with. But now they have shifted over to almost all virtual. And I'm assuming there's a lot of people in the same, everyone is in the same boat, like how do you actually get together and meet? And so I haven't been on one of those. And maybe Dana can speak to that, but like, do people actually interact? Do you feel like people are like talking to each other and stuff on there and getting to know each other?
Yeah, they try to. I mean, and I could probably add some of the meetups that I've been to. They might not be relevant to each individual person's industry, but they try to make it where there's a topic. It's kind of like how we meet, where there's a topic and then people can connect after or in the chats and things like that. So, and another really big thing is Facebook groups.
That's going to be my next thing to say is Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And I know, Jen, that you're a member of Facebook groups. It is hit or miss, right? Like to find a good Facebook group. But if you can find some that have like pretty regular activity. And you can see all of that when you look at groups, you know, when you're looking in your industry, and it doesn't only have to be in your industry, right? Like for you,
Right.
Jen, you know, especially like it's very broad, the customer base, you know, as far as what they do and who they are and stuff. So there's a lot of different groups to join and things to, you know, to get in. I think the tricky part of that is, and I mean, I have some answers to it, but the tricky part is to not go in there and be like the annoying salesperson, right? Like if I hop in and I'm like, oh, by the way, guys, I do personal styling if anybody wants my services, you know? So unfortunately, it just means that we have to work hard, not unfortunately, but you know, time-wise, unfortunately, it just means we have to work harder to form relationships and to take them out of the group. Like to get people into DMs or texting or, you know, or Slack or messaging or whatever it is, you know, what other way you can speak to people off the platform. I think one way to do that is to be, if you find a group that you think is worth your time, there's good activity in it, there's good engagement, you know, you see that your ideal customer is living there, you know, and talking in there. A good way to do it without being like salesy is to just be a sharer, right? Like to share. And hey, I found this article is really interesting that you guys might like it, you know, and you know, and it should have some relevancy to what you're doing, but you're not saying, and if you like the article, you should also come talk to me about this and this and this. It's just, you know, you're kind of trying to show that you're kind of not kind of, but you know, hey, I'm really good in this area. I'm really good in this, you know, area of expertise. And I keep up on it. And so you become known as the go-to gal for that type of thing, you know, that type of whatever topic you're talking about. And if it's, you know, financial planning or money mindset and that sort of thing, Jen, then that's, you know, what you would keep posting about and keep trying to engage comments about. It's easier said than done, like, right? You know, it sounds really easy to do, but it's time consuming. And so you have to think about it. How much time would you have spent in-person networking, right, during normal times? So, you know, we have to get dressed and we have to like get, you know, whatever, either out of work early or get the kids taken care of or whatever it is that you do to normally go out and network, and then get there, the time you spend there, and then the time it takes to get back home, and think about that. And think, could I dedicate, you know, let's say you do that for 3 hours every week or 2 hours every week, you know, and I know you're a part of a couple of groups, Jen, so I know that, you know, you block out quite a bit of time for that. But could I spend 2 hours a week and really dedicate myself to trying to form relationships in some of these groups? And it might be helpful. It might, you know, I know you're already actively doing that, but it's just, aside from Facebook groups and then maybe trying some other options like a meetup type of thing where it's virtual, I don't know. Does anybody else have any other ideas? I mean, there are still some people meeting in person. So I don't know if anyone else has any ideas there. You know, Noelle probably speak to this, but you probably get a lot of your business. You don't necessarily have to always be meeting new people, but referrals, right? Like reaching back out to past clients and customers. Hang on. Let the dog out of the room.
That's really right now where the bulk of the business is coming from. So because we do the coaching events like mostly every week, we took like a little hiatus over the summer from our bi-weekly calls and started doing some special events, and we have some really amazing ones coming up. But also I've been focusing on doing different videos, and so whatever you see usually on Instagram or Facebook, I do a version of that for my emails. And then I always have a section in there like be an advocate and like how they can refer and help and share that with other people. So we've been getting a lot of, you know, people rolling money over, you know, because they've been, you know, furloughed or let go or retire, and then just people that they know that. So that's been helpful. Of course, I want bigger groups, you know, and like to get in front of more and more people, but I'm just really grateful for that. But I think that's just all of our biggest struggle is like getting in front of new, fresh faces during this time when you're not necessarily out there doing that traditional
100%. I mean, I could not agree with you more, because my bread and butter for Mama Crush, for for business casual was our in-person meetings and our events that we did. That's how we got people interested. That's how, everyone was like, oh, you guys meet up at Perk every week? I want to come. Now it's like, oh, you're online? Okay. So it's
We're getting fatigued from being online, that is like a real thing. People are like, oh, I've done 10 meetings today. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't have to get in your hot car and drive anywhere,
I know, but it's true. I
key.
think we're all just like, feeling that cabin fever too. Like, okay, I'm ready to get back out and talk to people. And
I mean, honestly, I kind of prefer virtual. Just
do you?
Point where for me to go to an in-person meeting is a lot of logistical planning that worth it. I have so many like limited time, like when I don't have my children to actually focus on work, that it's like I got to pick and choose where if it's virtual, like I'm sure you guys see, I have to turn my video off sometimes where I can kind of do two things at once.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's pros and cons to both. And like I said, even when we start meeting in person again, we'll still have a virtual meeting every week because it does work out for some people so well. And it's true. I don't have to leave the house, so I don't have to get a babysitter, and normally I would have to have somebody take care of the kids. So, I agree. And because Steph Edison, Steph, she keeps asking me, when are we doing in-person meetings? I can't make it to these virtual things. I can't be on another.
Like you could go to Perk and you can just join us virtually from Perk.
I know. And every other week I'm like, okay, let's do it next week. And then I'm like, girl, I don't have anyone to take care of my kids. I don't like, you're just lucky you have daycare. I don't, She's like,
go to the local coffee shop, bring your headphones and join us. Like, I have to go to my meeting now. Bye.
Last week, I think it was Mela has started doing, Social Hummingbird Mela. She started doing some in-person stuff again. And with social distancing guidelines, whatever. And she had one last week. I would have loved to go, but I could, again, have kids here and family here. But I saw Steph was there and I was laughing. I'm like, good for her, because she really needs to be around some people. So
that's why I took off and went to Pennsylvania on Thursday and was gone over the weekend. I'm like, I have to get out of here. I'm going to lose my mind. And I actually like being alone, but it even got to me.
Yeah, I know. Well, last week, I don't know if it was last week, Diana and I sat there and talked for like 30 minutes after the call because we're like, we just need people to talk to.
Agree. Yeah, just someone to talk to, not necessarily always about work too.
Yeah, exactly.
To have a normal conversation.
I know, exactly. So,
sorry, is there like a group that you guys have found like that you like? I mean, I know I have like 2 that I post in 5 days a week, and I do it for my client. I actually just do it like since I'm doing it, I just do it for myself at the same time. And I just like repurpose content that I've already been using and just like reshare it with that group. But I mean, I feel like I need to switch it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have not, but I have not looked either. I mean, I really haven't gotten to that point where I've been there. Is anyone else, Dana or Diana, have you guys like, are you in any especially good groups, that you could recommend?
So I actually started, like I joined the podcast groups for a couple of podcasts that I listen to because they're usually like either influencer related or like social media related or something, something related to the things that I do. But the interesting thing is that they're mostly like fashion bloggers and like other types of bloggers. And so it actually works really well for me because I have a completely different perspective than they do. And so the times that I've posted in there, like people are like, oh, that's like, it's like, oh, somebody that's not just talking about like this collab with this brand that they're wearing and like whatever. I can still add value, but from a different perspective. And I think that they appreciate that. It stands out to them. So I've had a couple people follow me and just be like, oh my gosh, I saw that you have like recipes, like, whatever. And then the other day, one of my favorite bloggers, podcasters, actually, Christina Galbato, she had asked like, what are some either questions if you're a new blogger? Cole, can you turn that down, pal, a little bit? This is why I was like on mute and black screen. Seriously. But she had asked like, if you're a new blogger, what are some questions that you have about starting? Yeah. Okay. Questions that you might have, or if you're already an experienced blogger, what are some tips that you would have for new bloggers? And I put like a very, what I think, okay, well, I'm talking. Yes. but I put like an answer basically that was like well thought out, and I felt like I really thought about like the stuff that I've learned. And I had like, I mean, it wasn't like it was like 13 people, but like she doesn't get much interaction on her thing anyway, on like each post. So it's like those people, like some of them even said like, thank you for taking the time to say this stuff. Like this is the stuff that's you can't always like read, and like when you Google like how to become a successful blogger or like whatever, it was like personal life experience stuff. So I think things like that, where you can find groups that maybe aren't even related to exactly what you do, but like have the same type of.
Well, it makes you unique, right? Like, so people want to listen to what you have to say, and you're not the same answer as everybody else's answers. So that's
Exactly.
really good
Sorry for all
strategy.
the interruptions.
Oh gosh, please.
Podcast related group. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, that is for sure. There's so many good ones that I listen to that you think about that, like all these women that are listening, or all the people, the audience that are listening, are all related somehow, right? They may not be doing exactly what I'm doing, but they're all related somehow. So I really like that idea, that strategy. Just taking notes. All right. Well, that was a good conversation. Hopefully, Jen, that was a little bit helpful. Let's go. Anybody else have any other things they wanted to discuss, or anything that they're either struggling with or excited about? Doesn't always have to be a struggle. It can be something that we're excited about too. That's going on. So last week we talked about SEO and last week we talked about the About You or About Me page and your profiles. So since we have Noelle here, I would love to pick her brain a little bit on Instagram profiles. We know that it's like it's like high price real estate, it's like this great little spot where people do find out about you. And I know when I find somebody, I read their profile first. I always do. And, once I see like whatever, I want to see who they are, what they're all about. So do you have any little tips for us, Noelle, about your Instagram profile? Like things you definitely would include or not include?
I think that for me, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree, Instagram is such a trial and error thing, and like what works for one isn't going to work for everyone. So I would mix it up, like change it every couple months and see what's resonating. Not to mention that Instagram just changes so often that you kind of have to keep up with it. And the only other thing I would really say is to make the part that's your name. And I feel like a lot of people like put all those pretty spaces and stuff like in that section. I'm trying to pull, sorry, my other phone's charging. But like, so like this part, my screen is so, what is wrong? I don't do this at all. All right, I must have like privacy on here. Hold on, let me grab my other phone. That's weird. Anyways, but like this name part, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that's searchable. So yeah, I think it's important to have your name, but like it's really important to like put like a keyword associated with your business.
Which name part was that? Show that again.
So like the part that's directly, sorry, my fingers are so gross.
Like the bold part right there?
Yep. So like I put Instagram and Pinterest only because like those are kind of the things I'm pushing right now. And because if someone were to search Instagram or Pinterest, that's going to come up, and it comes up in a way like if you have a follower and comment already. So, I definitely think that's like prime real estate right there. I know yesterday specifically, one of my clients were like changing her engagement strategy, and we were looking for business coaches that are targeting new female entrepreneurs. So like that's super specific, right? Like there's so many business coaches, but we wanted business coaches that are working with new entrepreneurs because that's who's going to most likely benefit from her new product. So I was literally searching just that. And I will say it came across a lot that like weren't, what I was really looking for, but having that like in the bio was like super helpful for me because it was like helping new business, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like when you think you're being specific, like, because even I have so many clients that come to me, I'm like, okay, like what's your target market? Like when we're developing a strategy or like who to engage with, to like help grow their account, like female-owned businesses. And I'm like what kinds? Like, do they own a brick and mortar store? Or, you know what I mean? Like really get super specific about it. Like female-owned businesses, that's, yes, it's good, but like go even further.
Right.
as much as you think maybe you've gotten specific, I would go even more specific and then change it around, mix it up and see what's working one month might not work another month. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I feel like Instagram's been like super weird recently with like engagement and followers. It's like I'll go up by like 15 and then like I wake up in the morning and I'm down by 20.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything is really weird right now. Like there's no consistency.
Ago it was like actually like, you know what I mean, like I was seeing like the fruit of my labor, you know what I mean, like I would be spending the time doing engagement and like I would see the increase and the uptick in engagement. And like now I'll like, because I tend to do like my engagement on the weekends because through the week I'm just like so bombarded with other people's, so I like sit on the couch and I'm like, cool, like this is actually working. And then like I'll like go make the kids lunch and I look at it again and I gained 10 and then I lost 15 and like, and then I just get discouraged because I'm like, all right, forget it.
So do you find though that the same thing is happening with the businesses that you're managing?
Yeah, no, it's across. So I like track how many like new followers we're getting each week on all of my accounts, and all of them have been down. So I mean, I know it's not just, you know, and those are all different types of businesses, all with different strategies. So something's just
And I know like even with Facebook, because Facebook's really important to the other, you know, the business that I consult for, and it's so wacky right now. Like there's you think people are all online, but there's like no engagement. Well, I don't want to say no, but there's so little engagement, so little like reach even has gone down, you know, and we're still cranking out content. We're paying for ads and all these things, spending the same amount of money on ads that we have in the past and getting like so much fewer impressions and reach. And you're just like, what the heck is going on here? You know?
I've put more of a focus on like my Pinterest recently because of that. And I've noticed like, actually because of our, like, I feel like right when quarantine started, you guys were talking about newsletters. Mm-hmm. And I do newsletters all the time for other people. Like never really stopped to think about doing it for myself. So I actually started doing it just like on like people that have like past reached out to me, and then kind of like, you know, it's like warm leads. And I've gotten a few that have like finally like, you know, we're kind of like hesitant to pull the trigger, and then they finally pulled the trigger. Or like I've gotten so many new subscribers. I feel like it has to be coming from Pinterest.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think Pinterest is still active. If you look at the stock market, Pinterest is like crazy because it is where people are going right now. You know, it's where the moms and everybody, I mean, that's where they're going there, and like Etsy, which is not social, but I just mean, it's that type of online interaction that people are getting, right? They want to know how to do stuff, how to,
but even in some of the Pinterest groups, so I took like a Pinterest course, so then I'm part of like this like specific group, like you had to basically pay to be part of the Facebook group. And they were saying that like Pinterest is even making a lot of changes and like putting a lot more weight. Like they're kind of starting to be more like Instagram, which is like so annoying. Like it was like a breath of fresh air that they were different and you had a better chance to stand out. And now it's like they're just completely changing it. So
yeah,
that's been a huge complaint in the food blogging community, because a lot of the people that have big blogs, that's how they make the majority of their like page views, aside from good SEO on their blogs and all that stuff, which I think that's why it's so important to focus on that, because like having a newsletter or like a list to send people stuff that are opting in, it's similar where it's like you don't own Pinterest, so whatever they're doing, you're kind of like held hostage to whatever their current strategy is. So right now, and I don't know if you've seen this, Noelle, but they have the story pins, which it's such a weird concept, because the idea of Pinterest for creators is that you want to use that as a platform for people to jump off of the platform and go into your blog. But as a platform, Pinterest wants to keep people on the platform. So the thing is that they're wanting you to create on platform content that people only stay on there. So they're really pushing these like story pins, where basically it's like, it looks like an Instagram story where you can sort of like scroll or tap into like different slides. And like the way that like, for example, food bloggers are using it is like they have the full recipe on there. there's no, like, that doesn't make sense for me, because why would I want to like give away free content? Like, I can understand putting like a couple out there sort of as bait, you know, like, and then maybe on the last slide having a call to action and saying like, hey, if you like these recipes, follow my profile for more of like more healthy, you know, produce forward recipes or whatever, or like come check out my blog www, but there's no clickable link. And that's what's frustrating about it, is that it's like it's just living like right there on the platform, and there's no there, you don't get any benefit in terms of traffic. So that's like one thing they're doing. And then also like that pushing of fresh pins is also like a whole nother thing, because if you don't have the time to sit down, like this could be good for you, Noelle, because people have to hire out. And I've started doing it too. Like I've like put myself out there saying like, hey, I create pins all the time for myself. Like if you need pins, let me know. I can do packages, like, you know, and like, I'm not an expert, and I'm not going to like sit there and do somebody's like Pinterest strategy. That's not my expertise at all. But like, I can create a pretty pin for people that can't do it for themselves. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess you have to sort of pivot, just like everything else that we've had to do lately. But yeah, they're definitely prioritizing those things that are like, you can tell that they're going through like some changes, and they want to prioritize those things. And it's really frustrating, because the people that have gotten really good at using Pinterest to like help themselves, which is why we do it as business owners, like those things aren't working anymore. And it's frustrating. People are seeing numbers plummet, and it's like that in the end for bloggers, like that's money. So
100%.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen mine increase, my numbers.
You need an increase.
Because, so like, to preface it though, like I feel like my account's like still newer, because like I was like, oh, when I have time, I'll go on my account, and like through this I've like more structured it, and like I'm like, okay, I'm going. Before it was like, cool, I have a minute, let me add some, and then I wouldn't do it for like another month and a half. Now I'm doing it more frequently, so I've seen like a big uptick in mine. But I mean, I also feel like the whole 30 pins a day, I feel like they need to rephrase that, because I think it all kind of depends on how many links you have to link back to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't blog all the time. So
When
it's
we
like,
did our Pinterest, like hot topic, whatever, it's been a month or two months ago. And I listened to a lot of the Pinterest people, you know, and like what they thought that, you know, how they explained the changes and all. And it was all about the fresh content. But they did say, this one woman, I have her name in my notes somewhere, but you know, she's from Pinterest, and she said 30 pins is not normal anymore. You don't have to do 30 pins a day. You know, you can stick to I don't remember what her number was, but like go more like 5 to 12 kind of pins a day, you know, and that's not all original. It's just, you know, you're active on there. But you're going with like 2 or 3 new pins a day, or 1 to 3 new pins a day, fresh content pins. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, if you don't have that much content, but they're not penalizing you for making 50 pins to one piece of content. They'd rather just the new pin, you know, like the new fresh pin. So the whole story thing, I think is funny, because one of the things that they talked about in several different interviews I was listening to and articles was that they, you know, it's one of the only social platforms that encourages people to go off of it, right? Like that's why bloggers love it. And that's why, you know, people with websites love it, because they are so confident that people are going to come back to them when they need something again. Like that's it. The stories thing, we had to know that eventually at some point they were going to create something where they wanted you to stay on their platform, right? Like, I mean, they just are, because like I said, in the stock market, like Pinterest is going, because my husband's like, I bought all this Pinterest. So I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, but because they have to now, you know, they're a public company, they have to answer like, what are your new innovative ways to get people on Pinterest and to stay on Pinterest? So it's always going to change. But I think the thing that really is what Diana mentioned, is like what we really can take away from is what Diana mentioned, is like, this is why we have to have an email list. This is why we have to own our people. And Pinterest is still going to be your best traffic driver for most of us. I mean, if you're using it correctly, especially for a blogger, you know, it's going to be probably better than Instagram or Facebook, any other methods or platforms. However, it's super frustrating to those of you that have been really good at it, Dana, Diana, you know, like they've been really good at it, doing it for a really long time. And then they throw changes in and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not seeing the same numbers that I used to see. So I can't even only imagine your frustration, because I don't have that kind of success on there right now. I don't even get on there. I do it for the other company, but I don't do it for myself yet. But I do think everything is kind of crazy right now, and Pinterest is probably trying to take advantage of the fact that they're blowing up, you know, and that they're the go-to right now. Like I said, Instagram and Facebook is wonky. I really don't think there's as much engagement there. And Pinterest does have it, you know, Pinterest definitely has the eyeballs there. Their numbers are growing. So, unfortunately, it's just one of those COVID crap things we have to deal with that's changing our lives. So,
I need to just drop at least one of my things that I consider essential in my, weekly stuff, and just dedicate that time to the stupid email list. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I don't know why I can't do it.
I
don't understand. Like, writing is I love writing and I love talking to people. So you would think that to email people and show up in their inbox would be something exciting for me. I don't know if it's the perfectionism thing that I want to do it right from the start. Like, I want to hit the ground running and whatever. I don't know if I'm like, oh, my open rate's going to be really low, so there's no point even. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just cannot sit down and do it. And I think part of it is that also I want to start off wherever I'm going to end up. And I feel like the place that would be is, and I forget the name of it every time, Leanne. What is it? The thing? Flowdesk.
Flowdesk. Yeah.
I don't know why that won't stick for me, but I have, I've always had MailChimp, that's where my email stuff is gathered. Not that I do anything with it. I've never even sent out an email with it.
Right.
But I think I have currently an RSS feed thing that just sends out, which which is not good, because that's not the best strategy. But, and I know that it's not even set up properly. Like, one time I had it sending it to myself, and I had huge pictures in each email. They were enormous. And I was like, what is this? So, but I want to set up Flowdesk and have that be I think that that's kind of the look I sort of want more.
Mm-hmm.
Than
the aesthetics of it are great. Yeah, they really are.
Right. So
if you guys aren't using Flowdesk or you don't know about it, it's awesome. I have a code if you want. It's $19 a month. There is no fee. I mean, the fee doesn't go up as you increase your list as well, which is a really nice feature. So,
can you send me the link?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I can put it in this chat in a minute, but I'll send it to you. Okay. And it's really pretty, and they have great templates. Jenna Kutcher is a big proponent of it. It's a woman-owned business, and they're smaller, but they have really come up with some really cool, easy ways to do it. You can create your own landing page without a website. I mean, there's some really good stuff on there. So I'll send you guys the link. What was I going to say about that too? Oh, the email list thing. So I've preached it for as long as we've been together. I think it was our very first topic we ever talked about with Business Casual was how to do an email list and an opt-in and all these, a freebie and all these things. And I'm going to hit it hard again soon here, because we have a lot of new faces and a lot of, and there's been changes too, but it works. The, Illuminative, the company that I consult for. So we have a really big email list. When I say really big to me, it's 15 to 20,000 people. I think it's around 17,000 people. We send out 2 different types of emails: a sales email and we call it the Morning Light. It's April. She's the founder. It's April's motivational, positive affirmation of the day, and basically her journal that she sends it out. We send that out 5 days a week, and we send sales emails out. We used to do 3 a week. Now we've gone to 5. I think we're going to back it back down to 3 a week. But the open rate for it, it's shocking. And we have new people joining all the time, our email list, and all the time. I mean, it grows probably 100 people a week. And the people that actually open it, it's 1,200 people. So it can be so disheartening, it can be, you're like, how is this going to 17,000 emails and only 1,200 people open it? But it consistently produces sales, consistently. And the Morning Light one that April does is more of a content, feel good email. And all she does is have one PS line in the bottom about, hey, go visit the website. It's not a sales email. It's not supposed to be. Sometimes we even leave that off, but most of the time we just have a link, like if you're interested in Illuminative's clothing, come look, and that consistently produces sales every week. The sales ones that we do are like the pictures of me dancing around and, and then the models and the clothes and all, and what special we have on that week or what sale we have going that week or whatever. And they're hit or miss. I mean, sometimes, but just the other day, I mean, we had like our biggest sale day of the week was from that one email. The other day, we had a new idea for a new special. So we kind of scratched what email we had planned, came up with a new email. We had, I think it was like $100 in sales that day so far, which is terrible. And $100 in sales that day, which is kind of a slow middle of the week day. Sent out that email at 4:00 p.m. and we usually send them out in the mornings. Sent out that email at 4:00 p.m. I don't even think it was a sale. I think it was just like something new we were featuring on the website. And we had like $700 in sales, like within an hour. I mean, they work. They really, really do. And you don't always have to be selling in them. You just getting in people's faces, basically, like getting your name out there and showing what an expert you are at what you do. I do think it's super important. I've been terrible myself. I'm the same way, Diana. Every week I'm like, if I would have spent 1 hour less doing this, I could have written killer emails for all my hot leads for Business Casual this week. Like one email, one little newsletter email that I could have sent out this week. We could have gotten more members, but I don't know. I'm stuck. I like too many things going on, but you're right. I need to like prioritize and like, what can I take away? Because I do think it's so important. I mean, it really is.
I get stuck in these ruts of like the things I like to do.
Oh, yeah.
like I get a thrill from making pins. Mm-hmm. Is it helping? I have no idea. My numbers have gone down, but I mean, I know that in all, it is helping because the more fresh content I have, the reason they've gone down is because I haven't made new pins in like a month.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when I was being really consistent with it, yeah, that's when I saw all that growth. And then that's when I got the viral pin. And when I was able to join the, Mediavine or whatever the thing that I wanted to join. And so I know that I just have to like stop prioritizing things that like feel better and sort of like get into the zone of being like uncomfortable and like, oh, now I have to use a different part of my brain that I'm not used to. And I don't feel like thinking about this. And like, because it's like, it's just easier to go into autopilot. I think that that's like the issue.
Of course.
And the other thing for me is like knowing that I'm going to have to now pay an extra $19 a month for Flowdesk. Like, I'm like, it's like that for me, money. And we talked about this, I think, a lot in the beginning when we were meeting in person, because that was one of my bigger issues is that in business, like I'm such a saver and I'm so good about like, watching my pennies and things like that, that in business, I'm very picky about the stuff I spend money on. And I always like try to look for the free route. But I've learned also that that's not always the wisest way to do it, because in the end, like if you would have just like spent extra money to have like the professional do it the first time, you would have like saved so much time.
Right.
And
yeah.
you probably could have, and I'm trying to turn around my mindset in that way, business related, to like, this is going to make me more money in the end. So if I have to spend $19 a month, but then I'm making $400 more in ads, then it seems like a worthwhile thing to spend $19 on. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like one of those things that like logically I'm like, why is this so hard for me to get over? Like, I don't understand. I don't know. I need like some kind of like a hypnotist or something to come and be like, you can do emails. Like, I don't know.
Let the $19 go.
I know, seriously. So I need to just do it, because then I think also too, like whenever I do spend money on something, like I am more likely to go ahead and like make sure that I'm doing it. Like if I, right now I haven't spent the $19 a month. So I'm like, it's fine. But like if I'm like, that's going to come out of my, business account, and like
I better write $19 worth of emails, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, it's like so much of it is like mind over matter with everything.
Oh yeah. It's like paying for a gym, right? Like you can work out at home for free, but do you always do it? Maybe not, but if you pay the money, I'll probably go because I don't want to waste that money, so it's the same kind of idea. Yeah. But I feel you. I mean, I preach it. I do it in the business that I consult for. And then for myself, I'm like, I need to do it. And then, 8 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, I feel like just reading a book and going to bed, So.
And like for me, I feel like it probably wouldn't even be that hard, right? Because technically, like, people don't want to read a ton when it comes to like recipes
No.
and stuff. They just want like, hey, here are 3 new recipe ideas to try this week. Like
It's a
3
pretty
easy fish
picture and a
recipes.
link. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, I did like covertly like join 2 other bloggers email list to see that, like, I know that they're both successful, and like I was like, I want to see what they're sending. Like, I
Yeah.
want to see this, how they're doing it.
Oh, it's
And
a
like
great
now,
idea. You should definitely do that in your industry. Everybody should do that. Like, I'm
Right.
on tons of email lists. I mean, eventually I'm unsubscribing from a ton, but it does. You want to see, what are they sending right away when you sign up? What are they giving you every week or every month or whatever, you know? So I think that's great.
Yeah.
Mela, so I know a lot of people are using Flowdesk. You guys are on Katrina Aronson's email list. She's using Flowdesk. Mela, Social Hummingbird's using it, and somebody else. And you can kind of tell when you start seeing them, you know, they all kind of have the same flow to them. Flowdesk. But they're just really pretty and really easy to design and do and make that pretty. So, I mean, when I sit down and do it, I can do it in minutes. The writing is not an issue, like you said. And people don't want to read long emails. They want the highlights, you know, and they want the picture and the bullet points of what you're doing and what you're giving them. So, and if you're giving them a bonus of actually putting something in the email that they don't have to click off with, then you're just providing them with even better content. Like if you're putting an actual recipe in the email, I think that's awesome. And then you're saying, for more of these, and for this one, this and this one, click here, click here, you know, and that's your call to action. That's your sale, right? To the email list, is like getting them to come to the website and look around and use it. So, all right, I'm just going to show up at your house once a week and knock on it and leave like a little note.
Please do. Like a threat would be good.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I just don't understand. And every week I'm like, this will be the week. I'm going to do it this week. It just has not happened. I could come up with a million excuses why, but I've done so much other stuff that it's like silly. Like I've written like ebooks basically, like I, you know, because I got into when you guys were like, oh, you know, opt-ins and whatever. Like I have the opt-in. I just don't have anything that people are opting. People are still signing up. Like that's the thing too, is like people are giving me their emails, and then like I've had a couple people email me and say, am I missing your emails? I'm like, oh no, I just don't send any. Like even though it says like sign up, there is something wrong with me. Like I'm just like, oh, I know. It's
There's
like
nothing wrong with you. It's normal. This is like normal solo entrepreneur life. You know, it's really hard to do all the things. But we'll get it figured out at some point, and then we're going to be like, look how successful I am. Why didn't I start doing this 5 years ago?
It's going to be like the Pinterest pins things. I used to hate doing them, and then watch, I'm only going to want to write newsletters like for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And I'll be like, guys, I can write your newsletters. Here you go.
We get 5 newsletters a week from Diana.
And that's the problem for me too, is that I end up like if I find something that I like to do in my own business, then I start like offering it to other people.
Right.
It's stupid, because then I'm taking away time from my own business. Like, but it's like, it's almost like easier money, because you're like, okay, I can crank this out and give it to you and, you know, be done with it. I don't have like, I don't want to become like, I don't want that to be my business. Like I still want to do what I'm doing, but like, it's nice to just have, especially not knowing with blogging, like some months are better than others, like financially. So it's like nice to have something where it's like a consistent thing. Like even if I have just like one client and I'm charging her $450 a month for like whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's just nice to have like a little bit of something.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
So
I mean, like you said, we got to pivot. We got to figure out ways to do it right now. So. All right, ladies, this is good conversations. I'm going to send the Flowdesk link to you, to Dana. If anybody else, I'll put it in this week's email because I haven't finished this week's email yet, but I'll also send it to you separately, Dana. So,
Thank you.
of course, no problem. You can go check it out. And all right, it's like 12:45, 12:47. So we're going to call it a day, ladies. Thank you so much for participating and for being here as always. Good big things are coming, and as long as I can kick my own butt, like I said. Diana, we'll just go to each other's houses and threaten each other to get these things done.
I think that's the best plan.
Funny thing is, I just got a text from someone who's doing a women's group next Wednesday at this time. So if you don't see me here, maybe I'll take
do it. You
on
gotta
that
check
offer,
it out.
since I just Yeah.
Yeah, not that I don't want you here. Of course I want you here. I
Yeah.
just mean like it is, you have to take advantage of these little things and go check it out. It may be a flop or it may be awesome. So yeah, you know, go see. And if you show up halfway through on our call next week, I'll be like, oh yeah, that one sucked. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's supposed to be like about mindset of how to get through these difficult times. I've actually done a lot of work in that area with landmarks. So, you know, I feel
comment
like
away, get in those, get in that chat.
Yeah, it could be of value. So
absolutely. All right, ladies, I will see you all next week. Thank you for coming. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.